Most people think they know this story. They do not. They know the summary, but not the weight of it. 700 years before the nails were driven in, a man was in a field with ink and paper writing sin. He wrote about a servant wounded, bruised, and led to slaughter. He wrote about a lamb who didn't run across the water. Isaiah never met him, never walked on Galilee, but every word he penned became a prophecy. Despised, rejected man of sorrows, full of grief, written in a language that refused to deceive. That is not coincidence, that is not literary chance. 700 years before the morning, something held that pen inside his hand. Word for word, word for word. Before Rome existed, before the cross was heard. Word for word. Buried with the rich at his death, 7 centuries before he took his final breath. No man writes the future with that kind of accuracy. No mind invents the details of another's tragedy. The criminal between 2 thieves that gamble for his clothes, the vinegar on the sponge, the soldier's final blows. If one came true by accident, we'd call it just a guess. But 60 prophecies fulfilled, that's not coincidence. That is the fingerprint of someone who was always there. The author of the story writing himself into the air. This is not mythology, this is not a Sunday school refrain. This is history arriving at a doorstep, 700 years before the name. Word for word, word for word. Before Rome existed, before the cross was heard. Word for word. Buried with the rich at his death, 7 centuries before he took his final breath. Word for word. He saw the garden, he saw the kiss, he saw the courtyard and the darkness in it. He saw the soldiers, he saw the hill, he wrote it all down, and then it was fulfilled. Word for word, word for word. Before Rome existed, before the cross was heard. Word for word. The hinge of all of history, the story that no one walks away from free. Word for word. Now, we need to go back to you.
It is finished.
He shared the bread, he poured the cup, he washed their feet before he stood up. He led his 3 beneath the trees. He led his 3 beneath the trees, and whispered that his soul was weak. Not a storybook, not a grand parade, just a man afraid of the debt to be paid. Blood, sweat breaking through the skin, where the weight of the world began. Dr. Luke saw the breaking point, capillaries rupturing in every joint. Face down in the dirt, crying out alone, the Son of Man asking to be taken home. Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. A genuine prayer from a genuinely human heart that did not want to bleed. But then he lifted up his face, and through the blood and sweat and pain, he said the hardest words that ever left a human tongue. Nevertheless, nevertheless, not my will but yours be done. He walked back to the 3, found them sleeping in the dark. He came back, they slept again. 3 times he prayed alone. They would die for him one day, but they couldn't stay awake on the worst night of his life. He did not shame the ones who failed to see. He rose from prayer and walked back toward the torchlight. Father, if it is possible, let this cup go past. But every drop of what you've given, I will drink on bended knee, because you saw the other side of what my yes was going to do. Not nevertheless, yeah, yours be done. Nevertheless, yeah, yours be done. Every person watching this has a garden of their own, a thing they've asked to be removed. If that cup still hasn't moved, if the answer's still the same, then this is what surrender looks like. This is what it means to say nevertheless, and then torchlight through the trees. Nevertheless.
Seize him! Bind him and take him away.
3 years, shared meals, shared roads, shared miracles. And then, torchlight through the trees. The sound of sandals in the olive grove, the clink of armor cutting through the cold. Temple guards and Roman soldiers, swords and clubs, like they're hunting something violent, hunting dangerous. And at the front of that crowd, a familiar face, someone who broke bread at the table said grace. 3 years of proximity is a miracle. 3 years of proximity becomes the pinnacle of betrayal. Judas walks up close, leans in slow, and kisses him. Even now, even here, he looked at Judas, no fear, said, "Are you betraying the Son of Man?" With a kiss, with a kiss. The oldest wound is always from the ones closest. With a kiss, 3 years of walking together, 3 years of watching the miracle, and still with a kiss. And they all fled, every single one of them, into the dark. He was taken alone, into the kind of night that breaks the heart. The men who swore they'd die before they'd run were running. The garden swallowed everyone. You have a Judas somewhere in your story, someone who was close, who used that closeness, and the sting of it is not just what they did, it's the proximity. It had to be that close to land, but notice what he didn't do. He didn't curse him, he didn't call down fire. He looked at the man who sold him and asked him a question. With a kiss, with a kiss, with a kiss, with a kiss. The oldest wound is always from the ones closest. With a kiss, but even here, grace, even here, one final question. Is this who you are? With a kiss. He was taken alone, and even the man who came to arrest him left with a healed ear. 70 men in the room who had already decided, till the high priest rose and called him under oath by the living God. Are you the Son? Are you the Christ? And the silence broke not into fear, not into flight, into the most terrifying claim, into the most terrifying claim that anyone has ever made at midnight. You have said so, but I say to all of you, from now on you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One, coming on the clouds of heaven.
He opened not his mouth, he opened not his 700 years ago Isaiah wrote it down, and on a Thursday night Jerusalem a man made no sound, because the plan was already written, the plan was already written, and the silence was not weakness, it was the weight of love. He opened not his mouth.
From the cross, he looked down at his mother, Mary, who had held him as an infant, who had fled with him to Egypt in the night, who had watched every miracle from the beginning. She was there. He looked at her and said, "Woman, here's your son." He looked at John and said, "Here is your mother." Even now, even here, he was taking care of the ones he loved. At noon the sky went dark and held the dark for 3 full hours. The Romans didn't have a word for this, a world that stopped mid-afternoon to mark his final hours. At 3 o'clock he cried out in his mother tongue the words of David written 1,000 years before. "Eli, Eli, my God, why have you forsaken me? It is finished, it is finished. Tetelestai, one word stamped across the debt. It is finished. Not I am finished, no, the debt is done. Paid in full, the ledger clear beneath the sun. It is finished. It is finished. And the curtain tore from top to bottom, and the way into the presence of God came open. Think about what stood behind that curtain, the Holy of Holies, the one room on earth where God had chosen to be known, the room that one man entered once a year with a rope tied to his ankle, because if the holiness killed him, someone had to drag the body out. And now, in one moment, 60 feet of 4-inch thick sacred linen from a height no human being could reach, not symbolically, not metaphorically, physically, permanently, irreversibly. It is finished, it is finished. Tetelestai, one word stamped across the debt. It is finished. The gap between you and God closed, not by your effort, closed, not by your religion, closed, not by your moral improvement, closed by Him from His side at His cost. It is finished. Finished. He bowed his head and he gave up his spirit, and the world went quiet. They were not going to the tomb expecting a miracle. They were going to do the only thing grief had left them, to tend to a body, the final act of love for someone who was gone. And when they arrived, the stones already moved, not cracked, not shifted slightly, moved completely, sitting against the hillside as though it weighed nothing. He is not here, He is risen. See the place where they laid Him. The stone is moved, the grave is empty, everything they feared mistaken. He is not here, He is risen, not resuscitated, transformed as a body, walking, eating, speaking, breathing. He has risen. He appeared to Mary in the garden. She thought He was the gardener, until He said her name, just her name. That was enough. He walked with 2 disciples for hours on the road, opened the whole scripture to them, and they did not recognize Him until He broke the bread. He appeared to Peter alone. No record of what was said, only that it happened that the man who had denied Him 3 times before a servant girl by a fire was the one Jesus went looking for first. More than 500 people saw Him, most of them still alive when Paul wrote about it, as if inviting anyone who doubted, go ask them, go find them. They are still here. Over 40 days, teaching, eating, walking, present. In a body that had died and was now alive in a way that was not recitation, not a corpse reanimated, but transformation. He is not here, He is risen. See the place where they laid Him. The stone is moved, the grave is empty, everything they feared mistaken. He is not here, He is risen. And if He's risen, He has risen. And if He's risen, everything He said is true about who you are,
were made for, about what it costs to bring you home. Sunday morning, Sunday morning,
The most powerful empire on earth did what empires do.
the stone was moved. Sunday morning,
The most powerful institution did what institutions
the
do.
tomb was empty. Sunday
Death
morning,
itself did what death could not do.
He has risen. He has risen. He has risen. He has risen.
He took the punishment meant for me. He bore the weight I could not bear. He stood condemned so I go free. He paid a price beyond compare. When darkness covered, all was lost. The love of God did not retreat. Every sacrifice was saying, you are worth this cost to me. Every moment of that Friday, this is how much you are free. By his wounds I am healed, by his love I am free. What the grave could never hold, he rose and gave to me. Death is conquered, all is finished. Every chain has been released. By his wounds I am healed, by his wounds I am healed. Early Sunday before sunrise, women came not expecting life, but the stone was rolled back open, ending sorrow, ending strife. Do not be afraid, stop searching. He is not here where he was laid. He has risen just as promised. Every word he ever said, every grave that tried to hold him found its walls could not contain. Every power set against him bowed and never rose again. What the grave could never hold, he rose and gave to me. Death is conquered, all is finished. Every chain has been released. By his wounds I am healed, by his wounds I am healed. There is therefore now no condemnation, nothing shall separate us. Not death, not life, not height, not depth, nothing in all creation can separate us from his love. He is risen, he is risen. By his wounds I am healed, by his love I am free. What the grave could never hold, he rose and gave to me. Death is conquered, all is finished. Every chain has been released. By his wounds I am healed, by his wounds I am healed. He is risen, he is risen, he is risen, he is risen. Freed by his love, raised by his power, held by his God. By his wounds I am healed, by his wounds I am healed.